a portrait disappears. Not just any portrait, the only known image of Robert Hooke, one of England's most brilliant minds. The man who gave us the word cell, who designed buildings that still stand in London, who argued with Isaac Newton about the very nature of gravity itself. Gone. Within months, his instruments vanished from the Royal Society's collection. His papers, scattered his experimental apparatus, dismantled. It's like someone's erasing him from existence. And they are... The man responsible sits in Hooke's former office. President of the Royal Society, Warden of the Royal Mint, Knight of the Realm, Sir Isaac Newton. This isn't a story about apples falling from trees. This is about what happens when the smartest man in the world decides to destroy you. And he's got all the time in the world to do it. Let's rewind. 1660s London. The city's still recovering from the plague, still smoldering from the Great Fire. But something else is burning to scientific revolution. The Royal Society's just been founded. It's like Silicon Valley, but with wigs and mercury poison. England's brightest minds meeting every Wednesday to dissect cows, argue about vacuums, and occasionally blow things up in the name of natural philosophy. Two men dominate this world. Now, Robert Hooke's already there. He's the Society's curator of experiments. Basically, he's the guy who has to make everyone else's theories actually work. He's built telescopes, microscopes, and air pumps. He's short, hunchbacked, and bitter about both. But he's brilliant. Isaac Newton, he's still up at Cambridge. Younger, angrier, paranoid as hell. He's made discoveries that'll change everything: calculus, optics, the fundamental laws of motion. But here's the thing about Newton. He doesn't share well. Actually, he doesn't share at all. He writes his discoveries in code. Literally, anagrams and ciphers. So no one can steal his ideas. Because in Newton's mind, everyone's trying to steal his ideas, especially Robert Hooke. 1679. Hooke writes Newton a letter, friendly, curious. Got a question about planetary motion. What path would a planet take if gravity followed an inverse square law? You know, casual stuff. Newton reads it, and something inside him snaps. Because Hooke's just described, maybe accidentally, maybe not the exact problem Newton's been secretly working on for over a decade. The mathematics of gravity, the holy grail of physics. Newton writes back. He includes a diagram of a falling object's spiral path toward Earth's center. It's wrong. Hooke spots the error immediately. Writes back, corrects it. Politely. Professionally. Newton loses his mind, not publicly. Newton never loses it publicly. But in his private notes, this hunchback instrument maker just corrected him, Isaac Newton, the greatest mathematical mind in Europe. The wound festers. For years. Fast forward to 1684, Edmund Halley, the comet guy shows up at Newton's door with the same question Hooke asked 5 years earlier. The inverse square law, planetary orbits. Can you solve it? Newton's response is cold. I've already solved it. Halley's jaw hits the floor. This isn't just some physics problem. This is the key to understanding the entire cosmos. And Newton's just sitting on it. Can I see the proof? Newton rummages through says he'll send it later. Halley rides back to London, probably thinking Newton's full of it. But Newton wasn't lying. Over the next 80 months, he writes like a man possessed, 20-hour days. Forgets to eat, forgets to sleep. He's pouring everything into a single manuscript. Philosophy naturalized, Principia mathematica. The Principia, it's not just a book, it's a weapon. Because buried in those pages in the mathematics of gravity, the motion of the planets, the very architecture of the universe is a message. I did this not book. Here's where it gets petty. The Principia is published in 1687. It's immediately hailed as the greatest scientific work ever written. Newton's explained everything: why planets orbit, why tides rise, why apples fall. But there's something missing. Robert Hooke's name, Hooke had publicly suggested the inverse square law. He'd corrected Newton's math. He'd been talking about gravity acting at a distance for years. Newton mentions everyone else. Galileo, Kepler, even random astronomers Hooke's never heard of. But Hooke, one grudging acknowledgement, buried deep, written like it physically hurt to type, Hooke's devastated. He tells anyone who will listen, Newton stole my idea. And maybe he's right. Maybe he's not. The truth is complicated. But Newton doesn't care about truth. He cares about winning. Hooke challenges Newton publicly, demands recognition. The Royal Society's membership is forced to pick sides. Most pick Newton because here's the brutal reality. Hooke had the idea. Newton had the math. And in science, math is king. Hooke spirals, becomes obsessed, bitter. His health deteriorates at Hunchback's getting worse. His lungs are failing. He's watching his legacy crumble in real time. Newton? He's just getting started. Newton plays the long game. He doesn't respond to Hooke's attacks, doesn't defend himself.
Maybe.
Just waits, because Newton knows something Hooke doesn't. Time is on his side. 1703. Robert Hooke dies alone. Broke. Mostly forgotten. Newton hears the news. 2 weeks later, he accepts the presidency of the Royal Society. Hooke's old job, and that's when the purge begins. First, the portrait disappears. Then Hooke's instruments. His experimental notes, his personal correspondence with other scientists, all of it gone. Newton never admits to ordering this. There's no smoking gun document, but come on, he's the president. He controls the archives. And suddenly the man who challenged Newton's legacy has no face, no voice, no evidence he was ever here. When Newton publishes the second edition of the Principia in 1713, he makes some changes. That grudging acknowledgement of Hooke deleted. In its place, Newton adds more attacks on other rivals, Leibniz, mostly another man who dared to challenge him. But Hooke's name is scrubbed almost entirely. It's historical murder, and Newton's not done. Here's what Newton never told anyone. He couldn't publish the Principia while Hooke was alive. Modern historians have found Newton's unpublished manuscripts, calculations, proofs. Some dating back to the 1660s before Hooke ever wrote that letter. Newton had the math. He'd had it for decades. But he sat on it. Why? Because he knew Hooke would claim credit, and he couldn't prove otherwise. Not definitively. So Newton waited. For 20 years, he sat on the most important scientific breakthrough in human history, just to make sure Robert Hooke couldn't take it from him. And when Hooke finally died, Newton published, took control of the Royal Society, erased every trace. It wasn't revenge. It was a calculated execution. Today, the Royal Society has a statue of Newton. There is no statue of Robert Hooke. There's not even a confirmed portrait. The one that disappeared in 1703. Never found. Some historians think they've identified him in group paintings, a short figure in the back. Fasieb's, maybe? Hooke's name survives in Hooke's law, a physics equation about springs. That's it. The man who designed buildings, pioneered microscopy, and suggested inverse square gravity is a footnote. Newton, he's on the British pound note. Here's the thing about history. It's not written by the winners. It's written by whoever controls the archives. And Newton controlled the archives for 24 years. He didn't just defeat Robert Hooke. He erased him. That's not genius. That's something darker. Newton had a personal motto, written in his journals, Amicus Plato Amicus, Aristotelis Magis, Amica Veritas. Plato is my friend, Aristotle is my friend. But my greatest friend is truth. Turns out, Newton's greatest friend was his legacy, and he'd burn anyone to protect it. If you want to see what else Newton erased, including the prophecies he hid and the fortune he lost, hit subscribe. The algorithm doesn't care about grudges, but I do.